All right, welcome back everyone to The Yard. Again, I'm Darryl Scotti, and today I'm joined by co-host, producer, creative Aaron Howard, and our special guest, Larry Antonino. Larry's a musician and songwriter and touring artist currently with Pablo Cruz. It's so exciting to have him here. This segment here, if you missed our first segment, go back and watch segment 1 with Larry Antonino, and you'll hear a little bit about his career and his background. This particular segment, we're excited about. This season, we're talking a lot about challenges and difficulties in the industry, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, get Aaron's take on it and Larry's take on it. As an active musician, producer, songwriter, you're touring around. What are some of the notable challenges that you've seen that are important to talk about?
Well, everything's a challenge because you're on your own in a weird way. You can go to college and learn how to do that, or film composing and this and that. But to get inside to where you are doing scoring for that TV show or that, it seems like there's so many people already there. How do I get to them? You can submit, you can do this, and it just seems like it's impossible. Same with auditioning for gigs and this and that. And what I found is you just have to get yourself out there. I went to clubs, I went to different places, and you meet this guy, you meet that guy, because you're tired sometimes. You're playing at 9 at night. You're sitting there going, okay, I had a long day, but you still dress it up and go out to that place and that place just so you're there. And if you can meet someone and give them your number, that's fine. It's called networking, as we know. Power through the tired part and go out as much as you can, and during the day too. A lot of people go to NAMM show and stuff, but mainly it's day in and day out kind of stuff. And don't get discouraged, because it takes a second, especially if you're new in town. People don't know who you are yet, but you know that guy and that guy and that guy are the first 3 calls. But then there's more than 3 calls a day for something going on in that town. You just make sure you're the guy that's next, and then you can flop it and be in the higher positions as you get a name for yourself. But and then as you get to know these people, you realize Corey, like for instance in Pablo Cruz, he scored the whole Baywatch show, the original series. And when a few years ago they did the remastered version, all high def, but there was 300 songs that were in perpetuity, so we needed to have composers come in and these montages. They're like 3 to 5 minutes. And a lot of it, they couldn't use the original artist, whether it be Kenny Loggins or whoever else, because it was just impossible. So he'd have to hire us composers. Now, because I knew him and I was in the band and he knew I was a writer, we've written together, we've recorded at the studio. He went, okay, Larry, this for your voice, I got some things if you could do some rewrites, but you're writing an all new song based on tempo, what the scene is about. So I got 10 songs in the new Baywatch remaster because I knew Corey and he knew I was capable. I had to be able to write it within 3 days. They needed the stuff fast. You have to compose it. You had to completely record it, mix it, master it, deliver it, the whole thing. So if you don't have your home studio mastered down to an incredible rate where you can get it done that quickly, it's not cost effective at all, because they give you only so much up front and you get some on the back end.
So plan, directive,
yeah,
and things like this start to happen.
And things like this start to happen. And so it, again, back to the point of like you're capable, and the person that has the account knows you, and then he trusts you to deliver. Mm-hmm. And you do. And then that leads to the next one, because look what he did. And then so you just do good work all the time, no matter what.
Wow. And
it starts breaking down these barriers that feel like they're impossible for the first couple, 3 years, even when you first get somewhere. It's like, you can't buy your way in. You can't, it doesn't matter how much money you have to try to get this guy and that manager, that lawyer, that attorney. It's you got to just do the legwork. You got to hit the streets.
So for Aaron, you're like half our age, maybe a little bit more, and have accomplished a lot. Does this resonate with you? Do you have the same kind of?
100%. And I think it's funny because I see this, I don't know if I'd call it a blind spot, but I hear it overlooked a lot in terms of challenges. Is Larry's telling you about his challenges, but you have to remember that Larry's already incredibly competent. So when he's in the right room, and he meets somebody and they say, show me what you got. He goes, here you go. And they go, oh, hell yeah. And I think that so often the challenge, honestly, is first, a lot of people are trying to jump into this pool without the skill sets. And I think that's really, really it's fine, but it's like you have to know what your lane is. If you're a great songwriter but you can't play guitar, or you can bang and holler but you can't really play guitar, then you probably don't want to tell everybody you're a guitar-based artist. It's like, no, I'm a great top liner. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
so
makes perfect sense.
I think that one of the biggest challenges is people get in the right room, they get the opportunity, and they don't have the chops to capitalize on it. And like what he's saying, it's so true. You get so, and I live in a really different industry than you. Like I'm not playing for Barry Manilow, but the rooms that I do get into, I think that when I was younger, I got into a lot of rooms and had doors slam in my face, and I didn't understand why until I go back and listen to what I was doing then, and I'm like, well, no wonder.
Yeah.
And I think that so many people, there's that whole Dunning-Kruger effect thing with musicians where they're so excited about music that they think they're really great. And Larry has this unique story of like obsessively becoming a very competent, quality musician at the beginning of the story. By the time you're 20 years old, you're a great player, and you're playing with great players, and you're in the room with people. The fact that almost everybody in your first band, your high school band, went on to do things that are notable in the industry says something about what kind of community that was. So in terms of challenges, I'd say that the community challenges you're talking about are huge, and getting in the room is massive. But I also think that it's so often it gets left out that your networking doesn't really do you any good. It's like you said, you can't buy your way in, but you also can't get in even if people like you. People think you're a dope person to hang out with, and they want to have a drink with you, all that stuff. But in the end, it's like, man, this other guy is going to just make my record have a vibe, and you're not.
Yeah, vibe is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can excel on an instrument and be able to read anything or be able to play anything, but there's something about that. They want you to bring that other thing that's unique.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that can play those exact notes, but what is it about the way you play it? Interesting that you said that. And
so I would never, speaking of that, I would never double down on my guitar services. I'm not a terrible guitar player. I've worked really hard on it, but that's not my lane. I've thought about and worked on songwriting though for 25 years.
Amazing.
And so when I get into the room with songwriters and we're actually working on something, I can bring ideas to the table that are helpful.
Right.
And that gets me in the room where I get paid for stuff, like,
right.
And it's the same, I think, even as an artist. Like, if you're an artist, you really need to know what your lane is and know what your lane isn't.
Yeah.
And I think my lane won't be session musician. I can do it. I do it with records all the time where I play everything. But would I rather have Larry Antonino on bass? Of course I would.
Be right over.
The artist doesn't have the budget. You know what I mean? What I'm saying? Like that's the only time I end up playing something that I wouldn't hand off to somebody else. I'd always hand it off. Always. If the budget's there for it in that particular record. So that challenge-wise, I think the biggest challenge that you run into is just trying to wear all the hats. Exactly what Larry said. Just you're by yourself, and like you said, being 100%er like him, where you can you write the song, you record the song, you sing the song, and you send it out, and it's good enough that they're going to take it as is and license it. That's very rare.
But give me an assignment, I will get it done. You have to have confidence, see, because you can deliver it and do your beautiful thing to it. They have to approve it though. Yeah. So they could have said, after all that work, 3 days, they could have said, no, I don't like the song. I don't like the way, I don't like the singer. I don't like the...
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Okay, I got to start all over from scratch. Okay. So, and a couple times I sent some rough ideas and they said, okay, that's close. And I kind of rearranged a few things and then got the approval and then produced it up over a day and a half, which takes a lot of time. So it's kind of like I had the luxury to be able to do that to make sure I wasn't wasting my time. But that doesn't always happen.
What an incredible segment. Can you stick around for another one?
I sure will.
Okay, I appreciate that. We're going to listen to some music.
All right.
And then we're going to put it out, and we're going to see what our fans think.
Okay.
That's going to be a lot of fun, so stick
All
around.
Right. Sounds
Aaron,
good.
thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you.
Stick around. We've got another segment coming up. We're going to be listening to some music and discussing some of those ideas. Like I always said, when you're out there getting to wherever it is you're getting to, share the love, okay? And all your hopes and dreams come true. We'll see you on the next episode. Stick around. God bless everybody. We're in the yard.